everybody, Mac here. Welcome back to the show. You know, it's amazing to me that in 3 years we never had a single Supergirl, and now in like a month we have 2 Supergirls. You saw my review for the one of Injustice 2, the link right there. This is the one from the Flash movie. And yes, we are doing this because the Flash opens today, Synergy. Also, don't forget, me and my buddy Brittany, we started a podcast, Ralph World. Put a link to that in the description below. Shameless plug over, now on to this. What we have here today is the McFarlane Toys, DC Multiverse, the Flash movie, Supergirl. And I'm really interested in this one because I'm kind of digging the way that Supergirl is being portrayed in the trailers. I have avoided all spoilers. I've only watched the first 2 trailers. I don't know anything more about the movie other than that. I've been avoiding it on Twitter. I've been avoiding it in just like news blurbs. I want to be surprised going into it. I am personally kind of excited for this movie for various reasons. Well, mostly because of Keaton as Batman. But I also really liked the way that she was being portrayed in the trailers. That it seems like if the Flash movie is the live-action adaptation of Flashpoint, it almost seems like she's taking place of Project Superman, and I'm really curious to see how that works. Now, what we have for our packaging right here is our standard McFarlane fare, where we have the big window up front. We have the extended bottom banner right here, so you get Flash logo up top, Flash logo, more window. On the side, Supergirl, the Flash. On this side, Supergirl, window. And we have a pretty decent animated image of her back here, which I'm betting this is what's going to be on the card whenever we open this up. Flash, Supergirl up top, DC on the bottom, down here, barcode, legalese. So, with that out of the way, let's get this open, and let's take a look at McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse, the Flash movie, Supergirl. Here she is, Kara, out of the box, because yes, she is Kara Zor-El. We are putting the tape measure to her, and we can see that she is approximately 6 3/4 inches to the top of her head, which means that she does follow our previous Supergirl in size. That Supergirl from Injustice 2 was a little shorter. This figure is a little shorter than the 7-inch scale, but I don't think I mind that because I think the actress is short, so they may have actually scaled this correctly with the rest of the cast. What a thought. Now that we bring her up closer, I'm just going to say right off the bat that I'm kind of disappointed in this figure. I'm actually a lot disappointed in this figure. What I said at the top of the video, that in 3 years we didn't have a Supergirl, and now we have 2 Supergirls. This feels like a figure that would have been made 3 years ago. This doesn't look or feel like a figure that has been 3 years in the making. Like, it doesn't feel like a figure that a company has had the property of for 3 years and has been trying to perfect the craft. There's just something very throwback to this that I'm actually having like 2017 Wonder Woman action figure vibes from it. First of all, we're going to take a look at this face sculpt. That this is not the best face sculpt. This, I mean, it's not bad, but I don't think it looks like the actress. Maybe from the side, and that's about it. But when you compare this to the face sculpt on the Barbie of her that came out, I feel like the Barbie doll has a better likeness than this one does. It looks the wrong color. It's very shiny. The eyes are very hard to focus on, or very hard to see. I don't know. It's just, this is a bad face sculpt, I feel. I'm not a fan of this right here. Also, on the other side of it, on the bottom, her feet are very, very small. And we had that issue. I haven't talked about it much, but we definitely had that issue with McFarlane figures when they first came out, that their feet were too small, and that was a large part of why they would have problems balancing or posing without the use of the stand, because they don't have a solid surface to stand on. They don't have a lot of surface area. They don't take up a lot of surface area to stabilize them. And also, her thigh joint right here virtually doesn't do much of anything. So let's go the way that we normally do. Let's start at the top and work our way down. I've already talked about the face sculpt. The torso in here isn't bad. I like the detailing of the S logo. I like how it's textured. I like how the costume is textured, so it's just not the blandness. I feel like her arms are way too thin. That may be me. I don't know. When I go to see the movie, maybe I'll have a better perspective, but I just feel like those arms are way too thin, even from what we've seen in the trailers. I don't know. I just feel like in the trailers, she's a little broader in the shoulders, too. I'm not sure. The legs are honestly the only thing that I really don't think are bad. Once again, we have the texturing down here. I like the use of color. I like this dark blue. I like the red. I like the gold in the back. There's no S on her back of her cape, but I'm betting that's due to the movie. And the cape, once again, is molded plastic. I was really hoping this was going to be cloth goods when I ordered it. Obviously, when it was in the box, I knew it wasn't. But when I ordered this and we saw that the Batman figures, Keaton unmasked, Keaton masked, and Affleck all had cloth capes, I was hoping they would have done the same with her, but it's not. And you can see how it's kind of molded to make it look like it's sort of blowing around her a little. Like, it looks cool, don't get me wrong, let's hold that out. It looks cool, don't get me wrong, but I think a cloth goods cape would have worked much better with her, especially for how narrow it gets up at the top. I don't know, maybe if they would have done it narrow, given a large unfurling at the bottom, and then put like a wire in it, that would have been really cool. But alas, we do not have that. And as I said before, her feet are just way too small and just kind of get lost in the costume. Like, I like what's going on up here, and I realize this is more the movie and the costume designer's fault than McFarlane's, but like, I really like what's going on up here, but then this just gets bland and lost. And I feel like they should have done something, like if they're not going to do the trunks in this area, like, I feel like they should have done something to like sort of give her like at least the facsimile of like the big red boots. Also, she does have that whole diaper issue that McFarlane has been having recently with like the really big rubberized crotch piece that makes it look like, the figure's wearing an adult diaper. So there's that. Now for the articulation, her head will do a full 360 spin. She has some really good tilt side to side to it, but here's another big disappointment. It's a flying figure. She can barely look up. That annoys me. It's like, can't you just, I don't know, maybe if we rotor that out so that the peg can go back a little more. I don't know. I just feel like none of his flying figures can get like a decent flight pose because the head, well, there we go. Did I loosen something up maybe? All right, she can get up a little bit, look up a little bit better, but still not as far up as I would like. She can look down. Arms will do a full 360 spin. There is a butterfly joint that barely works. Like, she has this cutout right here, and the idea, like, she can get her arms in more when they're up like this, but to what end? I don't know. When they're just down, the butterfly joint doesn't really work all that well. The arms will come up to just under 90. You can't even get a 90 degree on this one. Elbow twist, double jointed bicep twist, double jointed elbows with some really good travel. I do like the red stripe in here too. I think this is kind of cool. But you can also see that mine has some thinning paint right here in the shoulders that I'm not a big fan of. Wrists will swivel, wrists hinge, or you can do this, and then they go up and down. She has this torso cut right here, so at the ab cut, she can do a full 360. She can really crank back. She can go forward. She has a lot of side to side. Down here at the waist, the ball joint will do a full 360. Once again, the ball joint will crank back. The ball joint will crank forward, and the ball joint will give us some side to side. Using them in conjunction, she can really crank back, but that's not like a good flying pose. Also, you can kind of see in the sculpt, you can kind of make out her abs down in here, and that's kind of cool. I like that. Legs will come up to about 90. They'll go back that far, come up real well out to the side, almost to 90. As I said before, she has this hidden crotch joint, but it's not really doing much of anything. Double jointed knees with some really good travel. Ankles will twist. Ankles will rock back. Ankles will rock forward. Forward facing pin for some rocker. And toe articulation. Kara comes with a pair of open hands. They're not exact mirrors of each other, but they look close enough. But I do like that because it's not just two of the same. I kind of like that there's a little bit of a difference between the way that they're posed. She also comes with a pair of clenched fists for some good old Zod punching action. Now, something you're going to want to make sure of whenever you do this, you need to be careful with her when you're swapping out the hands. Because while they do just pop right off like McFarlane Fair does, it's such a small peg. And there was a couple of times when I was pushing these on that I was really worried I was going to end up bending that peg. And for anybody that was wondering, no, the Flash Supergirl's hands, open hands, are not the same as the Injustice 2 Supergirl's hands. They're actually two different molds, two different sculpts. The Injustice Supergirl has smaller hands than the Flash Supergirl. However, the Injustice Supergirl has a larger wrist peg than this one does. So Supergirl has no accessories, which is kind of a disappointment, but she does come with a McFarlane flight stand, for better or for worse, and everything that comes along with that. How we just have, the basic claw that'll clamp in around her. But just like all of the other McFarlane flight stands, I feel like, once again, when these teeth start to wear, this clamp is just going to start flopping forward and not really do much of anything after that. It's kind of a shame that she doesn't come with any accessories, because if there had been one accessory I would have loved to have seen her come with, whether it would be a completely new head sculpt or somehow fit onto the face, like around the eyes, the heat beam, the rage heat beam, the rage eye laser moment in the trailer, I feel has already sort of become an iconic moment for this version of Supergirl. And I would have loved to have had that in figure form somehow, sort of like how they do the optic blasts for Skyhawk, how they do the optic blasts for Cyclops over at Marvel Legends. It would have been really cool if we could have gotten some eye beams, some heat beams coming out of her eyes somehow. That would have been awesome. And like all McFarlane DC Multiverse figures, Supergirl does come with her own collectible card, and the art is the same as what was on the back. On the back of the box, rather. And I know this is the time where I usually flip the card around and show you what's on the back side of it and let you read if you want to. But the card does contain some spoilers. Kind of upset I read it myself. So, sorry everyone, I'm not going to do that this time. And now for size comparisons, here she is beside McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Injustice 2 Supergirl and McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Action Comics 1000 Superman. Here she is beside Hasbro Marvel Legends Binary and Hasbro G.I. Joe Classified Series Cobra Trooper, because I couldn't find my Captain Marvel to put next to her. Here she is beside Mattel Masters of the Universe Masterverse He-Man and Mattel Masterverse Masters of the Universe movie Skeletor. Here she is beside Lanyard Toys, City Hunter Predator, and Xenomorph Drone. And finally, here she is beside NECA Toys, Dungeons & Dragons, Warduke, and Grimsword. As happy as I am about getting this figure, maybe even as excited as I am about getting this figure, because it's always exciting to get a new Supergirl, even though we haven't had a, comic-accurate one yet. Todd. I am very disappointed in this figure. As I said before, this just feels like something that McFarlane Toys would have come out with 3 years ago when they first got the line. The paint apps are very thin, especially the reds. You saw where there was bleed through in the arms and the elbows. The butterfly joint doesn't really do anything. The thigh joint, the crotch joint in there does practically nothing. The knees and elbows are very ratchety. They want to stick. The detents are very heavy. So it does help keep the limbs in poses, but it also kind of limits the articulation because you're stuck to having to put them inside those detents. The feet are way too small, and the head sculpt leaves a lot to be desired. This doesn't feel like a figure that McFarlane Toys should be making now. They've progressed past a lot of these issues. The figure is not very well balanced. It took small miracles to get her to stand as well as she did for this end part and for the photos that I took. And she comes with no accessories, and I know a lot of the times the supers don't come with any accessories. I know that it's very rare for DC Multiverse figures to come with any accessories, but with her, I would have really loved to have somehow gotten like the heat ray effect. Even if it would have just been another head sculpt with the angry red glowing eyes, sort of like how they did with the Hush Superman. Whether or not you get this figure is entirely up to you. It all depends on if you like the movie. If you go for the movie figures, it depends on if you like Supergirl or not. It will depend on if you like this incarnation of Supergirl or not. Like I said, from what I've seen in the trailers, the 2 trailers that I've watched, I'm kind of digging what they're doing with her. I would have just really liked for this one to have turned out a little better than what we got. If nothing else, I would have just liked her to have been able to look straight up so you could get those like just flat out flying poses, but we didn't get that either. Hopefully I'm going to get to see The Flash this weekend. It's also my niece's graduation party this weekend, so things are going to be a little busy. I'm going to try and get to see the movie, if not this weekend, probably sometime during the week. Also, one more shameless plug. Don't forget to check out me and my buddy Brittany that starred our podcast, Ralph World, on Spotify. It goes up on Spotify today. It premieres today, this Friday. I said in a video before that the audio is a little rough for this first episode, but I still am really excited. We talk about some good stuff. Check it out. And it will be posted here on YouTube on Sunday. So, until next time, my friends, play well, stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, thank you for watching.